Good morning, Screen Junkies. Maybe morning. I don't know when this is going to end up going up. We're a little late today because there's been some technical difficulties. We're chatting with YouTube. We're chatting with the internet. We're chatting with the White House, trying to figure out how to get things back up to you guys. This may come up tomorrow. I don't know. We're doing our best. I'm Joe Starr, filling in for Roth, who is still a spy. Dan Murrell's here.
Yep.
Spencer J. Gilbert's here. Danielle Radford's here.
What up, bud?
Hey. A lot of things to get through today. We're going to be talking Transformers being pulled from Paramount's schedule, which is just silk coming out my mouth. There's a controversy surrounding our new favorite film, Show Dogs. We're gonna dive deep into that. It is in the doghouse and should soon be let out. Star Trek Land coming to Universal. To compete maybe with that there Star Wars land over at Disney. And we got a little bit of Jurassic World news. But first, before we kind of jump into that stuff, a couple of things that are just breaking that we did want to get into. First, we wanted to start with the news about Morgan Freeman, which is a developing story. Things are still breaking on it. A number of women have accused him of sexual harassment, inappropriate conduct. Danielle, Dan, you guys were sort of working on this one as I came in. Can you guys sort of get us up to date with sort of what we know? It's still breaking, it's still developing, but...
Yeah, it looks like it's 8 women have come forward anonymously with 8 other people corroborating. So 16 sources total.
It seems like it ranges from trying to pull up women's skirts, if I'm reading correctly, to just general inappropriate comments.
Yeah, ogling, making women uncomfortable in general.
At work.
Oh yeah,
At work.
he had like, if you read the article, he had some like weird formalized ogling ceremony at the office Christmas party where he would like have them stand in a circle and he'd like stare them up and down silently and then like move on to the next one. It's pretty weird. Also, he married his step-granddaughter. Or no, he had an affair with his step-granddaughter. I'm sorry.
True.
And all the most telling thing for me was in the article when it's like the reporter says she would call women and like before she said who it was about, they were like Morgan Freeman, and it turned out to be about Morgan Freeman.
No, he's put out a statement. That was never my intent. I never willingly or knowingly. And I think this is what we're talking about here. Is not my intent, willingly or knowingly. At the same time, these things happened, and this is what it's about. It's about changing what intent and willingly and knowingly, and the idea of like being conscious of what you're doing. It's something else we're seeing, which is the other story we referenced, which was the Arrested Development story from yesterday, where the cast of Arrested Development was giving an interview with the New York Times. Jessica Walter very emotionally started to kind of go into the verbal abuse that she was subjected to by Jeffrey Tambor, abuse that he himself exposed in an interview last week. So it's not hearsay. This is an incident that happened. Jeffrey Tambor was in the room during this interview, and Jason Bateman in particular, but a lot of the cast of Arrested Development is kind of under fire for sort of brushing that incident off, saying like, well, that's part of the process, that's part of the work. You have to, it's going to be a difficult thing. Ali Shawkat, to her credit, spoke up and said like, but that doesn't make it okay. Yeah. That's not acceptable. But I think they both kind of dovetail into this thing that the whole movement that's going on right now is like, these things may have been normal in the past, but this entire process is about, it's not. Yeah. And you have to make it a system where it's not, or otherwise nothing will ever change, because people are just going to say like, oh, that's just Jeffrey. That's just Morgan. That's just working with them. And you
don't be alone with this person.
Right.
Or maybe don't have certain people on set.
Yeah.
Well, obviously I can't necessarily. I wanted to say it's not something that would just happen if you're just in an office.
Why are you doing that?
That's a sound cue for the Transformers story later. You went a little early on that, Danielle. It's okay.
Is it morphing time?
It might be morphing time. If you gotta go,
Duck down.
I get it. A giant pig man is attacking Angel Grove, and you gotta.
I just really like smoothies, you guys. That's why I hang out there so often.
That's why I go to the juice bar every day. What I was going to say was, if you just work at an office, this is not acceptable. But then in your head, I immediately look at some of the offices I've worked at and went, oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, this obviously goes beyond Hollywood, but these are all celebrities who everyone knows and loves, and like, you know, the sexually abusive Fuddruckers manager doesn't get headlines.
Yeah.
So that said, like, Hollywood has a chance to be an example and clean up its act. So obviously there's a lot to figure out in the sense of what you do with someone like Morgan Freeman versus a Kevin Spacey versus a Harvey Weinstein and stuff like that. Actually, Seven's now a
Yeah, Seven is now an unwatchable movie.
Boy.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Although Brad Pitt threatened to fight Harvey Weinstein after he came on to Gwyneth Paltrow. He's like, I will effing kill you. So there you go, 2 out of 3.
Okay.
I can't wait to see the Brad Pitt cut of Seven. It's
Yeah.
just shots of Brad.
Yeah, this sucks. It always sucks. First of all, for the victims and the women involved who had to be uncomfortable and worry about their jobs and their technically their boss, actually their boss at his production company, like leering at them and stuff like that. And then it sucks because he's the voice of God, and it's like America's grandpa.
I'm losing grandpas, guys.
Yeah, we're losing grandpas left and right.
I am down so many grandpas.
Yeah, you know, we're being a little not flippant, but jokey with it, because sometimes you just
Sometimes
I
you
don't
have
know-
to.
I don't
It is
know-
the only way that
I
you
don't
can
know
deal
how
with
else
the
to
things.
process right now. Some of this is just getting so frustrating. A lot of people have seen as the reactions I was kind of scrolling through. People were like, "Hey, he's an old man," blah blah blah. And the first thing I thought of is a friend of ours, Lisa Curry, who's a stand-up, has a great bit about racist grandfathers, where, you know, people write off their racist grandpas. Oh, he's an old guy. He's raised in a different time. And she's like, no, they were raised during you know, civil rights, and they were raised in a time where now they should know better. And it's sort of the same with this write-off, where it's like they're old enough to have seen enough examples of people being hurt, people they care about being treated badly, that
Yeah,
it's
that-
not an excuse.
I don't think that excuse flies. I forgot what I was going to say, so keep talking, John.
Well, no, because they're also
Here's the thing.
yeah, these are also people at work, and so typically when you hear the excuse of age, it's like, well, you know, they're of a certain age, but also maybe they're at a point where they're not really working, and so the way that they are only affects a smaller group of people. But it's like, no, you're at work. Like, and I don't care how old you are, you have a job, and part of that job means not making the other people that you work with uncomfortable, not not making them feel like they have to, there's a quote by someone in the article who said they changed the way that they dressed because if not, it was going to be an issue. It's a job. He can be anyone of any age. You're at work, and you have to know how to conduct yourself when you are at work or in your life. Or just don't be gross.
Don't be gross. How hard is it? I remember what I was going to say. There's the age excuse that doesn't fly anymore, and then there's also like the genius or talent excuse. And there's
he's
just
so brilliant.
He's so brilliant. He's so good. Like, this is his process. There's so many people who are talented and great at what they do who don't do this, and who haven't had a shot, or who haven't had the same opportunities, or who are waiting in the wings, or who are already super famous and could do the job just as easily without making everyone else's life miserable.
Well, it's interesting too, because in storytelling we celebrate that trope.
There's the trope of
the prick genius
Yeah.
trope. There's so many movies about that heroic prick genius where, oh, he was cruel to everybody, but man, he sure made that car good.
I just hope that obviously each victim's voice needs to be heard and listened to, and each of these situations need to be heard and listened to and resolved. But I hope that people also keep in mind that this is ultimately about change.
Yeah.
This is ultimately about changing the environment, making people more aware of their actions, what they're saying, what they're doing. The next time that Jason Bateman is, in a conversation about this, and he has released an apology, and the apology seems very contrite and very thoughtful.
I think something happens when you actually read the words that you said, and you were like,
and and not even realizing, there is the reason to change things because you start one place and you go from another. That's the important thing. Is like Jason Bateman and that cast, they probably come from a place of just like, I'm an actor, I protect the process, I protect this, anything for art, and that's the whole point. Is you You
Not
have to
anything for
change
art,
these things.
yeah.
Not anything for art.
Yes.
You have to listen to people. You have to understand when people are saying something. You can't just wave it off and say like, well, that's just the character. No, like that's what this whole thing is about. Like, you know, part of it, yes, is exposing people that have done things that are bad, and making sure that they either pay, you know, they pay for those mistakes, they learn, you know, and you know, Spencer's right. There's a degree to all of this. Like, not every case is exactly the same. It's not the same crime. It's not the same punishment. But more importantly, it's like, it's change. The change is what is the most important thing, is that all of these terrible things that have happened to people are for naught if nothing changes.
Yeah.
And that's really what I hope people inside and outside the industry focus on, is things need to change, and change for the better.
No, well said. And we'll continue to sort of cover this and take a look at it as it continues to develop and grow. I know some people don't like us spending time on this stuff, but it's one of the reasons we came back, because we think that having a platform to talk about this stuff is important. But moving on to maybe not as an important thing, but
Play the noise, Danielle.
where's the bells?
Bing bong,
Bells,
bing
bells,
bong,
bells, bells.
bing bong, bing bong.
Transformers 7 has been officially pulled from Paramount's schedule.
Which one was this?
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the...
Is this Blueberry? Is this a Bumblebee?
No, Bumblebee stays.
Okay.
Which apparently is now the 6th Transformers movie.
Yeah.
When they said Transformers 7, I was like, was the last one the 6th one? And did I just completely forget about
Right.
the Transformers movie?
You just
I lost count.
erase
Yeah.
one from your brain. The film was set for release on June 28th, 2019, so I don't know what else in 2019 I have to look forward to now. The studio will still open the spin-off Bumblebee on December 21st. Last night's final box office tallied only $605.4 million, which is still a lot of money. Suck it. But a long ways away from the billion-dollar-plus blockbuster successes of Dark Side of the Moon and Age of Extinction. Age of Extinction. Speaking of learning, guys, we're finally learning. There was a lot of speculation this would happen back in February at Toy Fair, when Hasbro told investors a new team at Paramount will reset the Transformers live-action movie series following the release of Bumblebee, the movie. So I'm curious if, I mean, look, ostensibly Bumblebee the movie doesn't matter anyway, at least to me. But I'm curious now, if does it matter
Maybe
at
not
all?
to you. He killed Hitler.
I mean, to be
No,
fair,
a watch killer.
I'm sorry, a
watch killed Hitler.
transforming watch killed Hitler.
Spencer, Bumblebee.
If my
there.
drug-addled mind remembers correctly, I don't mean real, but watching Transformers addled my brain in an irrecoverable way. Bumblebee fought the Nazis.
He fought the Nazis.
He
and
did.
that's
Yes.
where
He
the
sure did.
with like he had his own like Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
Apparently.
He sure
and
did.
that's where the Bumblebee movie will begin.
No, it's set in the 80s.
It's
I
in the
believe.
80s with John
God.
Cena.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I guess he'll
Tim
be
and John Cena are best friends. Being a car and being a man.
I want most of the jokes to be he's a Volkswagen and John Cena can't fit in.
Does Bumblebee transform into John Cena?
That movie I'd watch.
Yeah.
That
Who
movie-
ride to?
Oh, John Cena is the weird pretender show for Bumblebee, and we're just gonna start getting in all the worst toys we can.
Yeah.
I'm curious if this movie now is just like how I kind of feel about Dark Phoenix and New Mutants, where I'm like, you're about to get sold to Marvel. Who
cares?
Who
Yeah.
cares? Because I don't see, or if this is gonna be the reset. That's weird that it's.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is this the cherry on top of the poop sundae that has been Transformers 1 through 5, or is this the new intro to a whole new world?
Yeah, we'll see. I have a feeling
No?
it's going to be more the I'm lactose intolerant and this is more ice cream from Transformers. I have a feeling it's going to be more in that direction. But these movies are bad. And more importantly, I don't think the toys sell, which is why the movies are created. I don't think the merch moves at all because all the characters are hideous looking, which is why the old original designs keep getting pushed out by Hasbro as toys.
I don't want to eat or eat any of these dudes. I only want to do it with the other.
Yeah.
That was the noise I made. I only want to do it with the older
No,
ones.
spot on.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also it's probably
I've turned into that guy from
Blue Man
Police
Group? Oh.
Academy.
Michael
I
Winslow?
was like making a bunch of noises.
I've always thought of you as our own Michael Winslow.
At first, Transformers was like, meh, meh, but now Transformers is like, ah! Yeah.
Well, I mean, the toys may not sell, but also the if you look at the box office numbers, the franchise fell globally in one movie
Yeah.
from 1.1 billion to 600 million. It dropped 50% from one movie to the next movie, which like that generally happens over time. It's rare that that happens literally from one movie to the next movie, and that again just shows you that people. It's weird because it kind of went like, you know, in the U.S. it kind of went like, you know, this, and internationally it went like that. So that like Age of Extinction was sort of the point where it almost intersected, where like our investment of Transformers was falling precipitously. But globally, at 1.1 billion, Age of Extinction, the globe was still like, yeah, and then instantly after 4, everyone just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Which I know $600 million sounds like a lot of money, but for a
Not with what they
Transformers
spend,
movie,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, they spend the budgets of developing nations.
That's
on
Bay's
movies
fund
to
budget
market them
alone.
Yeah.
They really had no. It would be foolhardy to. I'm sure they probably had wished that they hadn't already started developing Bumblebee. Remember when they had a Transformers writers?
the
room
writers
that was
room, they had
developing
12 more.
22 sequels, and this is what happened.
You know what? I'm glad they
It's
got
like the
paid.
Dark Universe.
glad
You
they got
can
paid.
announce all you want.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
apparently there's maybe still some Dark Universe stuff kicking around. But you're as good as your last hit. And
Yeah.
those writers' rooms can be dissolved very
Look,
quickly.
you know what? Much love to anybody who got paid spending a summer just writing sideswipe ? With a circle pointing to Grimlock ? On a whiteboard. That's my dream job. So much love to you.
But then Michael Bay comes in and screams at you, like, and he just tears everything off the walls.
Including the whiteboards.
It's not even words. Just I'm curious if this is Hasbro, because with every other wing of these properties, comics and toys, they've started to merge properties like G.I. Joe and Transformers and Mask and
Power Rangers soon to be.
and Power Rangers soon to be. So I'm curious if part of this reset is the
Expanded toy
yeah,
universe.
the expanded toy universe.
You know it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You know it's gonna be,
has to
right?
be.
That's next. Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense, and it makes sense for them to get all sort of genres of this stuff on the same page.
I like
Yeah.
it if
I mean,
it's
I'll watch
all
it too.
Lego movie stuff. Oh man, you are
this
just
keep
blowing it up.
Who keeps calling
That
me?
was the show dogs cue.
Too soon.
We were gonna do the bit where I called Dan with the scoop.
Yeah.
Or come on, man.
Man,
I don't do scoops. That's
his-
somebody
that's
else's
somebody else.
department.
You need to meet him.
I know.
He's a fascinating gentleman. Transformers 7 is being replaced on the schedule with a Tiffany Haddish movie, so boom. So cool. Already instant improvement. They're also adding the Elton John biopic Rocket Man, which when I read our notes this morning, I thought I saw Rocketeer out of the corner of my eye. I got very excited.
Elton John's Rocketeer.
With
Rocketeer.
Taron Egerton, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
playing Elton John.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm almost positive he's
Okay.
playing Elton John in that movie.
All right. Well, that's on the schedule for May 17th, 2019. Thank God. I'm so I don't want to do another honest trailer for one of these movies. I don't want to think about them
we'll
anymore.
be doing way more Transformers Honest trailers. They're just going to repackage it and it'll be back in.
Oh yeah,
form
but
in about
fingers
5
crossed,
years.
it'll make me less angry, like 30%
Maybe
less
for
angry.
Bumblebee, we can just do the bee movie. That's the movie where the human woman falls in love with the bee.
That is,
I mean, we've
I
been
am-
looking for a legitimate reason to
do the
that,
bee movie.
So maybe this.
And I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, bee movie.
That's a really, really good idea.
Bumblebee.
Oh, guys, speaking of good ideas, controversy in the movie Show Dogs. Dan, you want to take this one? You are our in-house Show Dogs expert.
Thank you. I
Aficionado.
wear that mantle proudly. No, this is. I initially kind of looped this in with the Peter Rabbit thing, but reading up on it, I do think that there's more of a sound foundation on this. I mentioned this with Lon on Monday on Charting, which is that the movie Show Dogs, which is about Will Arnett, who's a cop, and his partner Max, who's a dog, who's voiced by Ludacris, and who speaks, but Will Arnett can't understand him. But the dogs talk to each other. I don't want to get to the whole machinations of the plot, but
not to give anything away.
in the movie, Will Arnett and Max have to infiltrate a dog show, and
Where they're hiding
where they're hiding a stolen panda.
Thank you.
Well, they're not hiding it in the dog show. There's a rare animals collector competing in the dog show nearby that
As you
has
do.
a stolen baby panda. Anyway, But there is a thing at the end of the movie because they're doing the competition. There's a part of the competition. If you watch a dog show, they reach underneath the male dogs and they feel the testes there. I don't know why they need to do that, but that's a whole category of judgment.
YouTube, please don't demonetize us.
And Ludacris is as Max, not the person. Ludacris is very unhappy with this, and so they're trying to train him how to have the judge. Basically he keeps barking and snapping when someone tries to grab his testicles, as all of us would probably do.
Yeah.
And so Will Arnett is just like, basically, he says, "Go to your happy place." During the show, and that's what Max does, and it allows the judges to then do what they need to do down there. Watching the movie, I just thought that was super weird for a kids movie to have a whole side plot about dogs' balls being touched. But and again, I didn't think about this angle at all. But there are some abuse advocates who said that this is a bad message for kids because that is generally messaging that is given to children when adults are going to do something to them that they wouldn't want them to do, which is to disassociate, go to your this kind of started out as like, it's the blogiverse, but there have been some people that have jumped on board to this, adding some credence to this theory. So the Show Dogs has as I believe they've pulled the movie out of theaters. They're going to re-edit the movie so that scene is now removed.
No one. There wasn't a single person in any room that was like, question, why does the dog's character development revolve around weird touch?
Yeah. It's just I didn't, again, like everyone comes at things from their own angle, and that was an angle that I didn't even consider. But it was weird to me watching the movie that, again, this is a kid's movie revolving around the dog's balls being touched, which is just super weird. But I guess it just goes to show you that you don't always consider things from every angle when you're watching.
I think this comes from the angle of like dog show people who are just already super weird and probably didn't even make the connection because like that's a big part of dog world is like the fondling aspect and like
the researcher is like, no, I spent months doing research on dog shows. This is an important part of the judging process.
This stays.
I will not have my work devalued.
Which is originally what
Greg.
they said. I mean, that was originally what the studio said was like, well, this is just an accurate version of what goes on at every dog show, which is true. That's true.
But
they talk, they look for stolen pandas.
I think
fight
the
crime.
studio probably consulted some people who said, no, this isn't just because Peter Rabbit didn't cut the blueberry stuff after the whole outroar, because I think there was definitely some like, well, come on. Yeah. There's, I see where some people are coming from it at the same time.
Yeah. I can see a writer as he writes this be very confused because he's like, but what's the dog's name? Max. Max is not a child. Max is a talking police, professionally trained
cop dog, voiced by Ludacris. With sunglasses.
They're mirrored.
To be fair, he doesn't wear the sunglasses in the movie. That's just a poster.
Oh, that's frustrating.
No, thank you.
That's frustrating.
However, RuPaul does voice a dog who turns out to be an undercover CIA operative.
All right. Get it,
so there you go. You got that going for you.
And the panda voiced by
the pandas apparently get
John
no voice.
Lithgow.
It makes animal sounds. So the pandas can't talk. Maybe it's a baby panda. They don't know how to talk yet.
Got it.
Babies are stupid.
I don't want to accuse the movie of being pandist just yet.
It's not pandering?
It's nice. But yeah, no, I think this is probably a case of people not looking at things from a certain angle. And then when you kind of say like, hey, but if you look at it this way, people can kind of like, oh, yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I see how.
Yeah.
Especially it's a children's movie. The good news, silver lining, Show Dogs gets a second opening weekend.
That's true.
And we will 100% be covering
Charting
it.
with Dan.
I do. It does have. I think you should take out of context the fantasy sequence that this movie has when that happens, though, because it is as trippy as anything you've ever seen in any movie ever. There's There's two Dirty Dancing parody jokes in it. While I definitely agree that the message perhaps is not helpful, I hope that they just release that little tiny bit of it out of context,
just separated from the
rest of the movie,
Yeah.
because it is really weird.
Or they should just change the rating and be like, show dogs, leave the kids at home. It's like
Rated R.
showgirls. Both.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think any child should see Show Dogs. It sucks. It's terrible movie.
I was telling
so
Dan-
many more quality entertainment options out there.
I was telling Dan earlier, he had posted a tweet where, was it for her birthday or for?
Yes.
Yeah, for Mara's birthday. He was like, we went to go see 2 movies, and you saw
2001:
2001: A Space Odyssey, and you saw Show Dogs, and the tweet said, and they were both great because we got to see them together. And I was like, oh, that's some Dan shade. Look at that Dan shade. I love it.
It's just a shitty movie too. That's
I know.
also some
2001. It's like, what's even happening?
Yeah.
It's so slow, and then
Yeah.
the baby at the end. Like,
Yeah. Come
whatever.
on. Show Dogs,
Really?
though. Solid cop buddy movie.
Making a joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never know with you. You're so deadpan.
Keeps you on your toes, keeps you on your paws.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Star Trek Land coming to Universal.
Yes.
Universal Studios may be planning a Star Trek themed land for their new rumored park in Orlando, Florida. It seems that the longtime rivalry between Star Trek and Star Wars may soon carry over to the world of theme parks.
There's never been a rivalry. That's a media thing.
Yeah.
I don't know many Star Trek and Star Wars fans that are out there. Sharks and Jets. I like both of them.
The only time I ever see it is when someone is trying to yell about a movie or thing they didn't like.
I think
They
it was
put it
more
in
of
that
a
context.
more of a late 70s, early 80s things when these were like the only 2 sci-fi franchises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Battlestar people are just over in a corner.
Can I
Battlestar
introduce you to the
nerds.
Cylons? Get out of here, nerd.
Get out of here, nerd.
We're talking about Romulans.
Live long and prosper. Not. Disney and more. A Disneyland blog spoke with Lance Hart from Screamscape and revealed so many names just right then, and revealed that there are reports that an all-new Star Trek land is being fast-tracked to compete directly with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Don't fast track
Yeah,
that.
I like that they're really rushing to get this.
Rush a theme park.
Just an action point style Star Trek land.
I love Star Trek as much as anyone in this world. I do personally prefer Star Trek over Star Wars, although I enjoy them both. You're gonna lose.
Yeah.
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 You're
yeah.
not gonna beat Star Wars. Like I'll go.
I'm going.
I'll go.
I'm going for
if
sure.
you want me to go, I'll go. But you're not gonna beat Star Wars. There's gonna be lines outside Disney World for a year to get into Star Wars
Yeah.
land, and as great as Star Trek is, you're not gonna.
No.
You can't
Yeah.
compete. I'm sorry, you can't.
They've got me and they've got my parents.
They have.
They've got Dan.
They did do. Universal had a Star Trek live action stage show in the 80s, which was an interactive experience, a hand-picked audience
Oh,
to help
wow.
complete the story.
On ice?
No, it was not on ice,
Oh.
although really should have been. I would love to find some YouTube video of that. It's got to exist somewhere.
It has to.
Oh,
Just Waterworld style Star Trek show.
I need this.
There was a really terrible touring show I remember when I was a kid that was Transformers, and it was just Spike Witwicky and Grimlock, and you had to yell and clap to defeat Megatron.
As you do.
So I'm assuming this was kind of similar. You had to yell and clap so that Kirk could kiss the Green Lady, which also a show that wouldn't fly anymore.
Yeah.
For
The sex
good
scenes are
reason.
really excessive. the live Star Trek theme
little-
park show.
Which is why I'm nervous that the Star Trek Land is coming back.
Don't avert your eyes. It's how they learn. That's how I learned.
Is it just the Enterprise? Is it just the ship? Is it
In
the
the-
Academy
I
in the
hope
Bay
so.
Area?
Listen,
Is it-
They have
I
a
would stay in the
holodeck when it's just
hotel.
Google Cardboard.
I would go on the rides. I would do a whole Star Trek.
Oh, you'd
weekend.
have a day.
Yeah. If they want to do this just to do it, I'm 100% in favor of it. Like I would love nothing more than a Star Trek land, but like don't fast track it to beat Star Wars. Just do it because you want to do it and you got great ideas.
You can't.
I always think that's a bad idea. Do it because you have something that like you're proud of and you want to show off, but don't like make a theme park. That's weird.
It's not spite, it's
That's the
desperation.
biggest spiteful. I mean, everyone's gonna go to Star Wars Land regardless. Like,
Yeah, there's no beating the Empire.
No,
I
'Cause Disney. That's what Disney does. Is they make awesome theme park attractions, and I'm sure Star Wars is going to be.
And I might be
amazing.
I might be the only person who found it funny, but they launched their first ad for the Star Wars theme park with a beautiful shot of Galaxy's Edge, like what it would look like if it was on its actual planet. It's just this beautiful shot, and there's this beautiful swelling music, and it's very, very pretty. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to go to this. And then just at the last second, just 2 TIE fighters soar over it. Just a solid reminder that the totalitarian space Nazis have taken this place too.
Disney.
Disney, yeah. It's just like, really? Not the Millennium Falcon? Okay, sure.
We just got uninvited from 17 more
Say,
previews.
We
Thanks,
absolutely
guys.
did.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun seeing Solo tonight.
We don't go to premieres. Hey guys, little Jurassic World
Oh.
news to end on, which Dan, you brought this up before we went on. I thought this was kind of interesting. Their embargo
Yeah.
ends super early.
Very early. The little industry news here. Anyway, the invites went out for the press screenings today, and they always have in those things when the embargo drops. Which, if you don't know what the embargo is, it's basically when the movie media is allowed to start writing their reviews and publishing them. And the embargo drops on, unless they change it, on June 5th, which is 17 days before the movie opens.
That's
which
cocky.
That is abnormally early. Like, even great movies, usually it's about a week. So this is the amount of time that Disney gives their Marvel movies. So this is usually a sign that a studio is very confident in the product, because the last thing you want to do is drop an embargo 2 weeks before the movie opens, and then you have a never-ending 2-week press cycle of how
This is
terrible a
garbage.
movie is,
Yeah.
and then it's garbage. So it's an encouraging sign. As I said with Jurassic World 2, despite my misgivings with what I've seen of it so far, I always hoped that movies are good.
Yeah.
And this is certainly a sign from the studio.
When you said there were some nuggets that gave you a little bit of hope.
There were some nuggets that gave me a little bit of hope in the footage that I saw. So this is certainly a sign from a studio that it has confidence in the movie, and we'll see if that pays off. Because
Okay.
I think that this is the kind of movie that, especially given how big Jurassic World opened, if it's a great movie and it has 2 weeks of solid reviews ahead of it, it could really, really open massively as the first one did. You don't want that sequel letdown. So just a little bit of there's little tiny things that are fun to find. It's just like, who knows how good the movie is, but it seems like Universal has a lot of faith in it. So we'll see what happens.
It's interesting. We'll see what happens. Guys, you can watch a lot more Screen Junkies stuff this week. Never leave us. You can watch Movie Fights today at 4, probably. It's going to be Matt Noss versus Joel Monique versus Jay Washington. Should be a really good
That's gonna be
fight.
a great fight.
It's going to be really good. I know last time Jay was here, like, he came to declare war. In his last fight, so I know he's itching to go again, so I'm excited about that. Yeah, you guys feel good?
Feel pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good. Guys, we'll see you later. Hope you feel good. Bye.
Bye.